This is the first of two videos that are an introduction to the interface. I'm going to start from the very top and work my way down here. At the very top, we have the title of our project showing. Across here is our toolbar, and starting from the left, we have our modes. If I click on Setup, we can see Setup. This is not a typical setup window. Let me switch to another project. If you're first starting a project, your setup window is going to look like this. With setup mode, you can create your players and groups of players as needed. This is where you'd also assign them instruments, etc. Let me go back to the other project here. Let's jump to write mode. Write mode is where you'll input your music. Additionally, you will add your articulations and performance techniques here. Engrave is the next tab. In Engrave mode, you can make fine adjustments to the music that you input in write mode. And additionally, you can determine how the pages of your project are laid out. Here's play mode, and this is where you'd assign your virtual instruments and effects for playback. Here you can build out your instrument players, you can work with MIDI routing, you can deal with note lengths, all sorts of great performance stuff. Next is print mode, and this is where you would print your layouts. You can do a little setup work on them as well. You can also export them as graphic files. Within all the modes, we have zones. Let's go back to write, for example. And you can see we have a zone over here. This is called our left zone. Over here on the right is the right zone. And down at the bottom, hidden, is our lower zone. The information shown in these is contextual per mode and by selection as well. You can hide and restore all your zones with this button right up here. Now notice we still have some items here, and these are called toolboxes. And again, these change based on which mode you're in. You can also navigate via the window menu from mode to mode. You can see them here, and they're key commands, command 1 through 5. Highly recommend getting used to these. It'll certainly expedite your workflow quite nicely. Let's go ahead and get out of this. Next is our layout selector, and this chooses what you see in one of your tabs right here. So here's a tab here. It says Violin 1. I can go up here. Here's my list of layouts, and I could, for example, have two that show me the full score. If you'd like to hide your tabs, click on the Hide Show tab button, and of course, restoring them in the same manner. Again, this button is our Hide Show for zones. Here, if you're working with video, you can open and close your video window. Mixer button toggles your mixer open and closed. You have your Activate, Deactivate Project button, and this is useful when you have multiple projects open, deciding which one has all its instruments active. Here you have your time display, which is part of your transport bar. This has 3 modes. Here we have bars and beats. Clicking on it, we can go to real time. Clicking it again, we have SMPTE time, back to bars and beats. You have basic transport controls here, along with a MIDI record button, metronome button that toggles on and off. You have your tempo information here. Now this can break out, and you get actually some more information here. Here's our bars and beats, by the way. Real time, SMPTE time. Let me go ahead and close that out. The last 2 items are an undo button, the left arrow, and a redo button, the right arrow. This is the same as the key commands, Command Z to undo, Shift Command Z to redo. Additionally, you have all these buttons available as menu items in the window menu. Here's Mixer, Transport, Video, and we've talked about a hub in a previous video actually. Here we have the menu item for toggling our score tabs, open and closed, as we'd like them, all hidden, all showing again. Additionally, our zones, and we're opening and closing here with this button, can also be found in our window menu. And here you can see we have show left zone, show lower zone, show right zone, and hide restore zones, which is the same as our button. Additionally, we can show and hide the toolbar. That's Command 6. Command 7 through 0 do the zones for us. Also very useful key commands to know. Let me click out of this. I'm going to go to my other project very quickly and select Setup here. In this area, I'll call it the work area. They have different names depending on which mode you're in. If you're in setup mode, it's called the project start window. And let me get out of this. I'm going to type Command 2 to get to the right mode. In both this mode and the Engrave mode, it's called the music area. Command 3 to switch to the Engrave mode. You can see it's the same view. Command 4 for play mode. This area is called the track overview. Command 5 to get to the print mode. And here it's called the print preview area. For my next demonstration, I need to be in write mode. And let me use the key commands to toggle the toolbox and the zones open and closed. Command 6 for the toolbox. Command 7 toggles the left zone open and closed. Command 8 toggles the bottom zone open and closed. And Command 9 toggles the right zone open and closed. And Command 0 toggling all the zones open and closed. So that's all I'd like to cover in part 1 of this interface overview. In review, across the top, we have our 5 modes. We have our layout selector, which changes which layout is in our selected tab here. We can go to a horns here, for example, toggle our tabs open and closed, toggle our zones open and closed, hide show our video window. Now I don't have a video in this project, so we can't manipulate that. We have the mixer available to us, the project activate, deactivate button. We have our transport area with the different elements here, and we can break out that transport area here to a larger window, toggle that open and close, and we have our undo and redo buttons here. Additionally, project name will be found up here. And finally, within the window menu, we have all the elements we've looked at shown as menu items and the associated key commands to use as well. So that's a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Hope this gives you a tip or trick or two, and we'll catch you on part 2 of the interface overview.